My name is Katelyn. The title of my story is Plan B, Growing Up a Mistake. I want to preface it with, I don't feel like I'm a mistake. I don't feel any negative tendencies towards my life. The reference is specifically into I was an accident. I'd also like to lead with, if you have any questions, interrupt me. I tend to ramble a little, so it's perfectly acceptable. So, the best way to give you insight to my story is to give you a little bit insight to my mom's story. And the best case to give you insight into her life is giving you a bit of her birth. The day she was born, my grandparents were unfortunately high on crystal meth, and they thought it would be funny to name my mom Crystal. And they made it Crystal with a K because the other name for crystal meth is Special K. So they thought it was funny to name her that. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight of what her life was like. And she fought really hard to get out of that life. And fast forward 19 years later, my mom accidentally got pregnant with me. And my mom is pro-life. This is kind of a story of why I'm pro-choice. I love my mom and don't regret her decision, but looking at the way I grew up has influenced me into how I would want to be as a mom. And the things that I experienced, while not my mother's fault, were not things that I want a child to experience. So, one of my biggest impactful memories, this is my very first, I can remember being little and seeing my mom getting ready to walk out the door, and I was 3, and I ran up to her and I was crying, and I said, "Don't go, Mom. I don't want you to go. Just stay home. It's okay, just stay home." And she wanted to make sure I had a better life than she had. So she was working 2 jobs and going to school. And she said, "No, honey, I have to go. I have school. I have work. You know Mommy has to work." And I remember my uncle grabbing me going, "You know, your mom's really busy. She's working really hard." And I've always appreciated that my mom really did that, but it's always also been really hard because I grew up with this need to want to please my mom and do things that would make her want to be around me. And I did my best growing up, but there were some times where, my mom was working and I would just be really sad. I couldn't see her. Eventually, she got her degree and she got a really phenomenal job. And she met my stepdad and they got married. I, for a long time, resented my stepdad because I wanted my mom to myself. And here comes this dude that's, I'm your stepdad now. And I was like, no, go away. My mom. I learned to get over it, but the big jump or impact in my life that hit me next was my mom getting pregnant. I was 9 years old. She got pregnant with my brother, and it was a planned pregnancy. So everyone was really excited, and I was excited. I was finally getting a brother or sister. I used to ask Santa for them for Christmas, and apparently that year my mom was like, "Okay, we're going to take her to see Santa. She's going to ask for a brother or sister, and we're going to be like, well, bam, I'm pregnant." And that was the first year I didn't ask Santa for a sibling. I asked Santa for a Barbie dream house because I was okay being an only child at that point. Like, I accepted my life, and then they threw the loophole in for me. And I remember getting my little brother and my mom telling my stepdad that she was quitting her job and she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And I remember looking at him and thinking, that's not fair. I didn't get that. Why do you get this? I didn't get this with Mom. And I remember feeling guilty and horrible for being jealous of this, 12-hour-old baby that's suddenly having a life that I didn't get to have. And I kind of struggled with that for a few weeks, but I made up for that struggle with being overly attentive to him. I remember my mom yelling at me that I'm not his mom too. I needed to back off. And I just remember I'm not trying to be his mom. I'm just trying to tell him, I'm really sorry I felt that way and I still love you and I'm really sorry I was angry and jealous. And then the feelings came back when my mom had my sister when I was 12. They went away a lot faster than they had previously, but they still kind of bubbled up, and I felt terrible that I'm sitting here being jealous of this hours-old baby that's getting more attention than I had, and I had to sit there and remind myself, my mom did this for my benefit. It's, she worked hard to make sure I could have what she didn't have. But it was still kind of a struggle, and it's made me sit back and think and look over my life and say, okay, what about if I have a child? What kind of situation do I want to be in when I'm in that? And I've, thought really long and hard about it, and it's kind of what has made me pro-choice, is sitting back and looking at my life, and I know my mom worked really hard for me, but I had those feelings of loneliness and sadness, and I just wanted my mom. So I've come to the conclusion that I'm pro-choice because I don't want to have a kid and then be like, I'm going to make sure this kid has more than I ever needed and never be there for them. Because I remember at Christmas that my mom was, she had been working so much and she saved up a ton of money and she bought me 2 Furbies. Because more than one is great. But she was just so tired, but she wasn't really paying attention on Christmas morning, and I'm trying to be excited and show her my Furbies, but I'm looking at her and I'm seeing her exhausted. So there's this, the obedient part of me is you should leave your mom alone. She needs to rest. And looking at my entire life, I know I kind of grew up a yes woman. Anything my mom needs, I'm there. And I feel like it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because, a few years ago, my mom could be like, oh, on Thursday I need you to pick your brother up from school. And I could be like, oh, but I had something planned on Thursday. Never mind, it's fine, I'll just reschedule it. But that's putting an inconvenience on me in my life. And at my age, I'm 26 now, it was kind of hard to explain to my boss, hey, I need the day off because I have to help my mom with my brother. And my boss is going, they're not your kid. And I'm going, well, I know, but I'm helping my mom. And they're going, okay. So that was difficult to deal with, but also I see good in it, but I also see bad in it, and it's just been a constant struggle of trying to grow up, but also reflect on my life. Because the other thing is my mom knew to expect from me with growing up the way I did. She knew to expect that I was saying, okay, I'll be really quiet, I'll make sure I do my homework because my mom's going to be really tired. I can help with dishes, I can help with this. I wasn't always great at doing my chores, but I always tried to do them. But I was always very obedient. My mom would ask me to do something, I'd get up and do it. My stepdad and I would sometimes get in fights, but it was over little things. But it was just, I was always like, the best word for it is obedient. And my mom is struggling because now my brother and sister are teenagers, and my brother's a senior in high school and my sister is a freshman, and my mom is getting really frustrated with my sister because my sister's really into makeup now because she's 14, and my mom's going, I don't know what to do. You didn't do this. And I'm like, well, no, I was a really weird teenager. Up until I was 21, when I lived with them, I was still asking permission if it was okay to spend the night at a friend's house. That's weird. And my brother and sister are just normal teenagers, but my mom is learning how to cope and deal with that because I gave her the expectancy of what I was. And she thought that was being a normal teenager. So she's going through a learning process of, oh, this is what normal kids are. Yeah, my daughter's kind of weird. I guess that happened from life experiences. So it's been an adventure of learning process for the both of us.